The next speaker is this year's winner of the Best Faculty Award. Dr. Markowski won last year. Amy Young won this year. Why? It's a somewhat unfortunate aspect of reality that bravery and courage often accompany modesty, such that we don't ever get the chance to reward people who are truly brave or truly courageous, because we never find out about it. In Amy Young's case, she was asked by the students at Central College in Pella, Iowa, which is hugely conservative, to be the sponsor for an atheist club. And even though she didn't have tenure, she did it anyway. And those type of things need to be rewarded when we find out, with both awards and with the ability to present at conferences like this. Amy Young.
Thank you. I just want to start out by saying I didn't know that I was presenting until Tuesday, and normally I would like to have PowerPoint, but my laptop was in the shop, and so this is my PowerPoint for the day. So, as you know, my name is Amy Young. I teach German at Central College. Doesn't necessarily relate automatically to atheism or even Secular Student Alliance, but Sarah Molia, one of the SSA staffers, started the group at Central College, and she asked me to be the advisor, and I said yes. Not initially. I told her no originally because I was concerned about the likelihood that it could adversely affect my attempts to get tenure, and then she said, no, really, we need you to be the advisor. And I said, okay, fine. We'll find out about the tenure thing in a couple of years. So, Central is affiliated with the Reformed Church of America. It's the college itself is maybe not quite as conservative as the church is, but there is a certain kind of conservative tendency at the college. Our Secular Student Alliance group at Central College is probably more interfaith or trans-faith based than a lot of Secular Student Alliance groups on campuses. I would say the vast majority of our students are atheist, quite a few agnostics, a few secular humanists. We've also got a Wiccan, a Mormon, a Catholic, a Buddhist. We kind of have the all-you-can-eat buffet of possibility there. So that's our Secular Student Alliance. And so what I'm going to talk about today is collaboration with groups on campus. The big collaboration that I wanted to talk about is a service project that we did this year. What we did was we collaborated with another group on campus to dismantle a house and salvage as much as we could from this house to be donated to the Habitat for Humanity Restore. It just so happens that the campus group that we collaborated with was Campus Ministries. And I'll talk a little bit about how we got to that. This year, one of the things that our group did was we brought Dan Barker to campus. Highly recommended. If you get the chance to get him to your campus, absolutely take advantage of that opportunity. And as we started to publicize Dan Barker's visit, we put up flyers. And, they had a lovely picture of Dan Barker and, losing faith in faith and good without God and information about the presentation. And a couple of the students had put them up, I believe it was a Monday, maybe even late on Sunday. Put them up all over campus, all over the place. By 11 o'clock on Monday morning, every single one had been torn down. So we put them up again. By 2 o'clock, they were all up all over campus again. And by 5 o'clock, they had been all torn down again. We put those flyers up 3 times in one day. And so we kept putting them up, and actually after the 3rd time, I got on the phone and I called Brandon Woodard, who is the director of intercultural life at Central College. And I said, this is happening, and this seems a little bit like it might be motivated by a certain kind of bias. Is this something that the college would like to address? And he took it to the appropriate people, and there was an email sent to the entire campus pointing out that Dan Barker's visit was an officially sanctioned event, the flyers were officially sanctioned, and that removing the flyers would be a violation of the welcoming policy of the college. I feel so tremendously grateful for the support that we got from the college on that. I really, really do. But the flyers kept coming down. Not all of them, not as consistently, but they kept coming down, and we'd put them up. And we'd put them up on walls, framed in tape. We'd put them up really high so that you couldn't reach them to take them down, but they'd still come down. So it got to a point where the president of our Secular Student Alliance, Kendra Hawk, was clearly feeling a little bit distressed about the situation. And so I suggested what I thought would be a really radical thing that we could do, which would be to go to the chaplain of the college and say, could you maybe point out to your folks that this is really not a good thing? And he said yes. And while I was talking to him, I said, by the way, I know that you're looking for some people to help with this project for Habitat for Humanity. Would you mind if we helped? And he said, by all means. And so as part of our collaboration, we had people from Campus Ministries and the Secular Student Alliance dismantling this house. And then afterward, we did a little bit of processing of the experience through different religious and non-faith lenses, as inspired by the Interfaith Youth Corps. One of the things that is really important when you start to think about working with other groups on campus is that it can be really, really key in helping to make life bearable for both the students and the faculty involved in the group, for the very simple fact that it puts a humanizing face on the group. Rather than being an anonymous group that just happens to be bringing this really controversial speaker, it's Lisa, or it's Mitch, or it's Kendra, or it's that person that I know from my philosophy class, or that person that's in my politics class. Also, it's a nice thing to do. It makes the group feel good. It makes the group look good. There's really not a whole lot to be lost by attempting to reach out to other groups. When you're starting to think about collaborating with other groups on campus, one thing to think about is the size differential. On our campus, when the chaplain says jump, the thundering of the football team landing can be heard for miles. It's a religiously oriented campus. The chaplain carries a lot of weight. And so one of the things that became clear to me in our service project is that we had a team of a small number of SSA people, and then the Campus Ministries group was 5 or 6 times the number of people. And that can seem overwhelming to members of groups of SSAs if you've got that kind of an imbalance. And so it's important to work with students on how to kind of get beyond your comfort zone, because it's really, really comfortable to kind of stick with the people you know and the people that you know agree with you. And in my mind, what this meant for me is that I also needed to role model what I wanted to see from my students from the SSA group. And just by working with Campus Ministries, I'm hoping that we did that. One of the things that I also learned is that you can't predict what the ripple effect of the service will be, and I will talk a little bit more about that at the end. Another thing I wanted to talk about is working with what I think of as unnatural allies. I use the word unnatural in quotes because SSA and Campus Ministries, you wouldn't really think that they go together. First and foremost, I think that we get, and by we I mean me, I get entrenched in these ideas about what people are like. Okay, I came to Central College 4 years ago. I had heard the chaplain is this way, and he will react this way if you do that. And that really wasn't true. I mean, the reality was that the chaplain was willing to work with us, and I have to admit I was pleasantly surprised by how that went. I think starting low stakes is really important. The project started out as the chaplain and I having coffee. We didn't immediately leap into bringing the whole groups together after something that had been organized by email. It's important to lay good groundwork, to have some good boundaries, to figure out a way to make everybody as comfortable as possible. One of the boundaries that we had agreed on for our service project was that we were going to not work on any kind of proselytization or anything like that. And then also be aware that they can sometimes be kind of limited strategic alliances. It might be a one event kind of thing. It could be something that develops into a longer term kind of partnership, but that may or may not be the case. So, and in short, I think the things that we got out of the project definitely outweighed the amount of effort that we put into it. I challenged a lot of my assumptions. I think we challenged a lot of the assumptions that had been had by Campus Ministries. I think that we challenged a lot of our own assumptions about Campus Ministries. And one of the most amazing ripple effect kinds of things that I don't know that I could have predicted, and maybe it wasn't exactly a ripple effect, but there was a group of Christians who came to the Secular Student Alliance meeting at the end of the year and basically said, yeah, we know that some people have been not very nice to you, and we're sorry. And that was one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had in my life. And so, in conclusion, I just want to say that I'm left with this overwhelming sense of gratitude that I had the opportunity to be part of this, because it felt like it shifted things meaningfully on my campus in a good direction. And my sense is, I got a couple of my students sitting in the back row nodding, is that the students felt that way as well. And so, with not a whole lot of time left, or actually quite a few minutes left. I'm looking at the wrong clock there.
You can do Q&A for a bit.
We can do Q&A for a bit. Any questions, comments, other ideas for things you can do? Yeah.
Our group has been approached by one other group on campus, but for the most part, other ones still stigma towards us.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had a lot of difficulty. We've tried to reach out generally, but we've been shut down sometimes. What would be your biggest suggestion? Would it just keep trying to approach, or?
Look for things that make sense and this is such a situational kind of thing. And start with one-on-one stuff. Because sometimes if it's this group going to talk to this group, it can be kind of funky. But if you have one person talking to one person that they maybe know, that would be, in my mind, a great way to start. Yeah.
I'm in the same group as him, and our group at our campus, where we have to like chalk and draw advertisements on the concrete around campus. Mm-hmm. And one thing we get all the time is people go out with like bottles of water and pour bottles of water on top of our chalkings and spear them.
Sure.
What would be like classy reactions to religious groups being adverse to secular student groups? In your opinion, responsible approach.
See, that's hard because our college was so good about backing us up on that. I would say find your allies in student life. I mean, and see if they have suggestions that are specific. I mean, we had the flyer issue and we had the welcome statement, and so it would have been a violation, a subject to the regulations of the college for messing with the flyers if they had been caught. So, I mean, if you can get that kind of backup from your institution, then great. Other than that, I'm going to go with persistence. If they've got water, you've got more chalk. If you need more chalk, get more chalk.
You said that things have improved. Are your flyers staying up?
More so. Not 100%, but I don't know that we'll ever get 100%. Of course, it's also hard to know why they come down. Some of the bulletin boards are, really close to where doors are, and there's a gust of wind. It could potentially come off because of that. It's never going to be 100%. Yeah.
I'm a high school organizer with the SSA.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon, at least on the high school level, for a teacher to be willing to be a faculty sponsor to a group, and then get told it would be a bad career move by their administration, something like that, and then back out. So there's really a lot of worry over the someone placing their job in jeopardy. Now, when I talked to you earlier, you said that so far as you know, there's no negative impact.
Right.
Has that been on account of anything you have done to take steps to make sure that's the case, or have you just lucked out?
I mean, the only thing that I've done is I've worked proactively with intercultural life. And so working with intercultural life and making sure that some of this gets counted toward institutional service has been really useful. Again, I don't know. I mean, it could just be that I'm oblivious, and then when I come up for tenure, is going to come the brutal dose of reality. But the short answer is I don't really know. Yeah. Or, sorry, yeah.
For the other teachers out there who will be watching this video, who
sure.
What would you say to them? Because you said it's been completely worth it to you, and then
right.
You have full of gratitude for this opportunity. What would you tell them to convince them that maybe this would be worth the risk for them?
Nothing will ever change if nobody ever stands up. I mean, and that's kind of been how I've done my professional career anyway. I picked a dissertation topic that was a little bit controversial, and my dissertation advisor, when we sat down to discuss my topic, she says, you know that this will limit your choices about where you get to go because not all colleges will want to hire you because of your particular topic. And I said, absolutely, I'm aware of that. And if they won't hire me because of this topic, I don't want to go there. At some point, is it worth keeping a job if the environment is so awful that you feel like you have to hide a part of your life? I mean, that's basically what it comes down to in my mind. Yeah.
My college is very liberal, and I don't think we are going to have any problems. We haven't started a group yet, but I want to start next semester. Don't think that there was one incident when that happened was something to do with the Palestinian movement that posters were torn down, but it was taken care of very well by the administration. And it's a Quaker campus, so I don't think we're going to face that problem. It's going to be a lot of passive aggressiveness.
Yes.
So how to deal with that? Because I know MSA, the Muslim Students Association, they're going to freak out if we even start a topic that drama Muhammad Day, blasphemy is not actually offensive, you're just being super sensitive, or something like that. If we even start a discussion, it is going to, there's going to be a lot of passive aggressiveness, and it's going to come into classes and personal matters, and I can see that because it has happened, and that's how just the school works. And it's very, very small. There's 1,200 people on campus every semester. So
work with other groups. I mean, seriously, find service projects, have joint social things, because the more people think, okay, this is that group that the person in my class is part of, then that helps limit that. I mean, to a certain extent, there's a finite amount that one can do. In my mind, what we can do is we can persist in making sure that our message gets out, and persist in making sure that we are seen as humans and not as some kind of faceless atheists eat babies kind of thing. I mean, really, who believes that? But keeping a face that is pleasant and helpful and cheerful is really important. I mean, and it's not always easy, but humanizing us. Yeah.
Just a bit of maybe something that might help from what my student group has been doing to attempt to get over the stigma. We host annually, sometimes biannually, a Garrison Martineau event where we invite theist groups to maybe give us some representatives and some members of our group to sit down in kind of a group discussion and talk about just the journey that they've taken to their current worldview without getting into too much detail. And then maybe a Q&A about certain pressing matters within both groups. And we find that afterwards we may not agree on, well, really anything, but we have a newfound respect for the group members, and it's a lot easier to talk to them and perhaps organize and work with them.
Well, and guidelines for respectful dialogue are super critical when you get groups with differing backgrounds together. Because if people can get together and talk about ways in which they're different in a way that doesn't mean that somebody has to lose face, then that absolutely can be a situation where everybody has a connection that is more meaningful and richer and less superficial. Any other questions? Yeah.
Any advice for a high school group with coordinating with like Christian groups within the school? Because I know we have to go on like a smaller scale campus.
Yeah. just do it. I would say start just by making a connection, and then from there collaboratively build something. It is because that's how our project went. I met with the chaplain. I knew that they had this project that they wanted to do, and they were looking for groups to collaborate with. And so we went into a collaborative kind of thing. And start small, work with good boundaries. Nobody's trying to change anybody else's mind. All we want to do is get these, light switch plates so that they can be used at the restore. The nice thing about service is that that gives these groups a chance to be in the same place together and work toward a common goal without having to necessarily engage in some of the things that can cause discord. If our task is to get all of the light switch plates out of this house, does it matter if I pray? No, it matters whether or not I can use the screwdriver to get the plate off. Yeah.
I was going to say, too, I think sometimes I like your notion of the unnatural alliance, but I think sometimes we have this feeling that we have to go with the unnatural alliance. We got to work with the Christian group. Why not work with another group on a service project that's not anything religious, but you're building a reputation of being a service group.
Right.
And that starts helping you build those alliances with the unnatural alliance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like our group works with fraternities and sororities.
Right.
Not just the crew on campus. So it's another way of sort of getting your name out there.
And part of the reason why we picked Campus Ministries is because we had this kind of sense that if we were working with them, that would help with the issue that we were having with the keeping up of the posters, because there were some people who were clearly feeling attacked by what we were trying to do. So.
Is that off, right?
Okay.
One more round of applause for Amy Young, please.
Thank you.